Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 1 of 4 on my lecture series on solving quadratic equations. Let's get started. A quadratic equation is anything that has the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. By the way, we call this the standard form of the quadratic equation because everything is moved over to one side. The simplest way to solve a quadratic equation, though it's not always possible, is by factoring. The reason this works is because of something called the zero product property. The zero product property is a pretty straightforward idea that if two numbers multiply to 0, then it must be one of them, or maybe even both of them, were 0. So how can we marry these two ideas to solve quadratic equations? Let's try this one together. Notice that this is a quadratic equation. Its a value is 4, and let me scroll up so we can look at the formula at the same time. B is -2, and C is 0. So, how do we use factoring to solve it? Well, let's start by factoring. Notice that both of these have a common factor of 2x. So I can write this as 2x times, I'll be left over with 2x, and -1 equal to 0. Now this is where the zero product property comes in. If I'm trying to find an x that makes this equation true, that means that x value should either make this term 0 or this term 0. Remember, if two numbers, those numbers being 2x and 2x minus 1 in this case, if two numbers multiply to 0, it must be that one of them was 0. In the event 2x was 0, that would mean x would have to be 0. In the event that 2x minus 1 was 0, that would mean after adding 1 to both sides and getting 2x equals 1, and then dividing both sides by 2, x equals 1/2 would be a 0. So x equals 0 and 1/2 are the solutions. Go ahead and pause the video here to see if you can try the second one on your own. X equals 0 and 2 are the solutions. Notice first that both terms share a common factor of 15x. After factoring it out, I'm just left over with x minus 2. Now I set each of those factors equal to 0 so that I can determine the roots using, or the solutions, using the zero product property. That leaves me with x equals 0 and x equals 2 as the solutions. In this video, we just took a look at how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. But unfortunately, not all quadratic equations can be easily factored. So we're going to take a look at some other simple ways to solve them over the course of this lecture series. Catch y'all in the next one.